Okay, so I'm going to try and do a demo here. It's a demo for of some work I've been doing for a client. The client knew exactly what they wanted, and I've just been trying to fulfill that for them. Um, so I'm currently working from home, and this the setup. Um, I'm running some VMs on VMware vSphere. I've got two NUCs here, quite powerful. Um, a network switch, a router, three Raspberry Pis, um, and they all sort of sit in this box. And then this is the setup. The router allows me to connect to Wi-Fi, so anywhere I go, I can just get 4G or a venue Wi-Fi, and um, sort of piggyback that and get out onto the internet if I need anything. Most things are run from this laptop, and these Intel NUC Skull Canyons are quad core, 2.6 gigahertz, 64 gig of RAM each, and there's 2 terabytes. Sorry, not in total, 64 gig in total, and there's 2 terabytes of AM2 SSD. So that's what we're working from today. If I have a look at vSphere here, um, this is what we currently have. We've got a number of VMs and templates going. We've got GitLab, which is critical. We've got the DevBox, which is our uh, Ansible control server, and we've got Contello, um, which is like which is the open source version of Satellite 6. We've got VMware Login Site, that we use as our logging consuming Splunk like device, and I've got an agent for that, so that's why that's there. Um, so if I want to look at the project, here is the project, and the project is to stand up a a DevOps tooling platform. So what the customer wants is a Ansible Tower cluster with DR, and I'm not actually, I haven't written the role for this. This role is available from someone else, and I have just used this role in the project, and that is a great role, and you do want to be doing that as much as possible. We don't need um, lots and lots and lots of Apache roles all over the internet. So let's see, what have we got here? Ansible. Here it is. This is the original that I've used, and this will stand up a tower cluster. So back to my project, which is using that amongst other roles. So we have a MySQL role, a CI certificates role, an HA proxy role, my LI agent role, and something's not right there, so I'll have to fix that later. Um, uh, then we're actually going to deploy the virtual machines with Ansible in vSphere. So I'm using another role, which I'll add a list at the end with all the roles and where to find them. We're using Galen Guy Java, Galen Guy Jenkins, Sam Doran Postgres SQL replication, and the rest are the kind of tower roles that were in the project I was showing, just demonstrating. So what we can do is kick this off, and it's very straightforward how this stands up. Where the plan is that whenever I go take this to the customer, I'll just change the host names and IP addresses within the vars here, for example. I have this is my local network, so I would just change this to the equivalent um, machine names in the customer's environment and run it from there. So if I pop back here and we start with the first step, which is to stand up the VMs. So if I look here, the VMs are going to be deployed into this folder. So what we just need to do is grab this, and we are in the same directory as what I have on my GitLab. And here we go. We just hit the playbook, and that's a list with the -I for the inventory, a list of VMs deploy. This is going to use username and password. So lowercase k and uppercase k for the password and the sudo password. -B to become, -user ansible. We're going to be using an image that already has an ansible user created within that, and we're going to run the stand up playbook. But if I go home, do that for now, and we'll less stand up. So stand up will import the playbook deploy VMs, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Import the playbook, create Ansible deployment user, deploy the Catello agent, deploy HA proxies. It'll also deploy Pandora flexible monitoring system, which is an open source monitoring server, and then deploy the log insight agent. So we just go back and run this again. So the VMs are going to be deployed for the template. So if we have a look back here, we should see them start to be built. So while we're doing that, we can look at the actual we can look at the actual deploy VMs. So it's going to use the role deploy vSphere template. So if I go here and then go to roles, deploy vSphere template, and it's not actually it's not a full role at all. It's just a one playbook. So we are going to use the VMware guest module to connect to the vCenter with the username and password. We're not going to validate certs at the moment. We're going to connect to a specific data center. These vars are all in the answers file. We're going to deploy to that particular folder. Here we see with all the VMs are now stood up, and if we look at the code, so the VMs have all been deployed, and we're now waiting for them to come up, and we're waiting 300 seconds until port 22 becomes available, so then Ansible can continue running. Just making sure we've got a wheel group. We're adding passwordless sudo to that wheel group, and if I go back to the role, we are creating a machine with the inventory hostname that we passed in that VMs to deploy file. Yeah, they're all got sort of, at the minute, they've all got a specific disk size and network name. So if we have a look here at the VMs to deploy file, so these are all the VMs that are being deployed, and we're giving them an IP address and making sure they're deployed on this data center. We go back to see where we are. So we've now got setting up authorized keys for the deploy user, and we're installing packages which are required for the deployment. So some of them need rsync to copy files around. So now that we have our machines being deployed, what we can look at, this is the Open Broadcast Studio, OBS Studio, that we're using to record this today. It's my first time using this, so it's pretty straightforward. Now if I go to our home lab and I go to the VMs, now these are the VMs that should be deployed. So Ansible Tower, we've got nothing there yet. Okay, it doesn't exist yet. Pandora, again, doesn't exist yet. HA Proxy, we don't have anything there yet. So those machines they've been deployed, and we could ping them, but at the minute they've got no applications configured. So we're now going to install the Catello repo from the remote server. So Catello is used for patching, and if we go to hosts, content hosts, at the minute we don't have any contest hosts. You currently do not have any content hosts, but we have a play to register the Catello register with the Catello server with an activation key and consume the subscriptions attached. So if we go back, we should now see VMs start to appear. There we go. So now we can see them showing up, and we should start to see if they have any outstanding patches. We've not got them. Let's have a look back at the play. So they're still deploying. Still registering and attaching the correct subscription. Okay, so now we should be starting to, as soon as we start install the Catello agent, the agent will, collect some facts, see what packages are currently installed, and then report back to Catello to calculate what packages are outstanding. Not quite there yet. There we go. Starting to see what installable updates there are available for the different machines. Okay, so if we move on, and let that finished, we can look at the agent playbook. some of these playbooks are really rough and ready. They're just there to be the minimal viable product, and pretty them up later and make them bring them in line with best practice. But yeah, so using Yum to install the agent files, so installing the Catello RPM from the repo, then registering with the activation key. The activation key is DC in a box, the organization is Kylan, and we're forcing registration. Okay, so we should be good there and have yes. So all of them have deployable updates. So we can look back and see where we've passed on. So here we are, we've moved on to start the application. So the first thing we are trying to install is HA proxy. So if I go back here, I should see HA proxy is now installed. So HA proxy 1 is now installed, and it's been configured already to look at these the tower VMs. And how we do that is from a template. So if we look at templates, we should have, maybe not template, so HA proxy. So it's from a role. Okay, so if we look at the role, it's using a template within the role. So we are passing it the variables to configure the front end and the back end from a vars file. So this var file exists in the root directory. In the vars file directory, we have HA proxy vars. So in HA proxy, we are saying that these are the servers that we're targeting. So again, they're still down, and it's still down because tower doesn't exist yet. So we're now installing the Pandora agent. So we must have deployed the Pandora monitoring OVF file. So we have deployed a new VM here, and how we've done that is from the deploy to Pandora OVF. So again, we're using the Ansible module VMware deploy OVF. We're giving it all the variables that we need, and here we have some properties which could be moved into a vars file and should be moved into a vars file, but currently not. And so that has deployed this virtual machine, and we should be able to have a look. Here we go. So it's now deployed, and if the agents, just have a look to see if the agents evolved. Agents have been deployed, yeah, and we're moving on to login site. So if the agents have to be been deployed, we can go back here and say don't show that message again, and we can see that we now have 111 monitors. This server didn't exist a moment ago. So it's been deployed and the agents have been configured, and we can look at the views, see the tactical view. These are all our machines. These are our event graphs. These alerts are probably CPU warning because we've been hammering it. And this is the event graph by agent. So we can see that the actual Pandora server was the one that was really getting hammered. So if I then have a look back, see where we are in the play. So we should have deployed the log inside agent and configured that. So yeah, we've actually finished the deployment entirely. So we can just have a quick look at log insight. Oh, here we go. Here's log insight. And we can look at, we can see that all our agents are now deploying or sending their logs to log insight. And if we have a Jenkins server as well, which we've just deployed. And that must not have finished just quite yet, or that still needs a bit of work, but we're not really doing anything with Jenkins anyway at the moment, because we're going to be using that to generate certificates for all the other servers. But yeah, that's about it. We have our servers deployed. Oh, we can have a look at HA. We can actually go to Tower. We can go and deploy Tower now. So if we go back to our plays, so we're now going to run the setup Tower playbook. These use different inventories, that's why they can't all be sort of tagged together. Perhaps in a shell script later, whenever everything is running smoothly, we can wrap it up in a shell script. But at the minute, we're running 3 separate playbooks. So we've ran the setup Tower, which is going to run the rule to install Tower, download the appropriate version 3.63-1. And to say this rule was written by 4 contributors, all Red Hat consultants, I believe, and it's really good, really good. Just takes a while to install Tower. And that's that. That's here we are. So now I've deployed Ansible Tower on all of the servers. So let's have a look at Tower front end. So here we go. It's Ansible Tower deployed, and so far so good. Thanks very much.